John Wayne Gacy. The name itself sends chills down your spine. A man who embodied pure evil, hiding behind a mask of normalcy. Worse, a mask of joy. Gacy was known by many as Pogo the Clown, a friendly face at children's parties. He was a respected contractor, a seemingly devoted family man. But beneath this carefully constructed facade lurked a monster. John Wayne Gacy was one of the most prolific serial killers in American history, responsible for the murders of 33 young men. His story is a chilling reminder that evil often hides in plain sight. It's a story of deception, brutality, and the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly ordinary individuals. Gacy's crimes shocked the nation, leaving an indelible scar on the American psyche. This is the chilling tale of the man they called the Killer Clown. John Wayne Gacy's early life offered no obvious clues to the horrors he would later inflict. Born in Chicago in 1942, Gacy was a seemingly ordinary child. He was an average student, even serving as a Boy Scout. He held jobs, showing a decent work ethic. There were no outward signs of the darkness that would consume him. As Gacy grew older, he built a life that seemed, on the surface, unremarkable. He married, had children, and became a successful contractor. He was active in his community, well-liked by neighbors. Gacy even joined a local chapter of the Jolly Joker Clown Club, performing as Pogo the Clown at children's parties and charity events. He was, to all appearances, a pillar of the community, but this was all a carefully constructed facade, a mask to hide the monster within. Beneath the veneer of normalcy, Gacy's life was a web of lies and dark desires. His early adulthood was marked by troubling incidents, foreshadowing the horrors to come. In 1968, he was convicted of sexually assaulting a teenage boy in Iowa. This was the first crack in his carefully constructed facade, but it wouldn't be the last. After serving only 18 months of a 10-year sentence, Gacy moved back to Illinois. He seemed determined to rebuild his life. He remarried and started his own construction business. He even began performing as Pogo the Clown, bringing joy to children. But the darkness within him festered. His urges returned, more sinister than before. Gacy's double life had begun, and it wouldn't be long before his carefully constructed world came crashing down. The first whispers of something amiss began with the disappearance of young men in Gacy's neighborhood. Starting in 1972, boys, some just teenagers, began vanishing without a trace. Their families were frantic. Their pleas for help met with dead ends. Police were baffled, unable to connect the dots. Little did they know, a monster walked among them. As the disappearances mounted, fear gripped the community. Parents kept their children close, suspicion clouding every interaction. The disappearances shared a chilling pattern. All the victims were young men. Many were last seen near Gacy's home or business. The truth, however, remained buried beneath Gacy's carefully constructed facade. But the net was closing in. One final misstep would expose the monster to the world. Section 5. The Walls Speak, Uncovering a House of Horrors. In December 1978, a 15-year-old boy named Robert Peast vanished. He was last seen at Gacy's business. This time, however, there was a witness. A classmate of Peast's told police he had seen the boy talking to Gacy shortly before his disappearance. This crucial piece of information led police to Gacy's doorstep. A search warrant was issued. What police discovered inside would shock the nation. The stench of decay permeated the air. Beneath the floorboards, in the crawl space, buried in the backyard, bodies. 29 bodies were found on Gacy's property, their skeletal remains a grim testament to his depravity. The nightmare was real. The man who brought joy as Pogo the Clown was a monster. Section 6. Justice at last. The trial and conviction of John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy's trial began in February 1980. The world watched in horror as the full extent of his crimes was revealed. Gacy, with a chilling calmness, pled not guilty by reason of insanity. He claimed his alter ego, Jack, was responsible for the murders, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence: the bodies found in his home, the testimony of surviving victims who escaped his clutches, and the incriminating evidence found among his possessions. The defense's insanity plea crumbled under scrutiny. After a brief deliberation, the jury reached a verdict: guilty on all 33 counts of murder. John Wayne Gacy, the man who hid behind a clown's mask, was unmasked for the monster he truly was. Section 727 Victims. One monster. The grim truth unveiled. As the trial progressed, the full horror of Gacy's crimes unfolded. He preyed on young, often vulnerable men, luring them with promises of work, drugs, or alcohol. He would then overpower them, often after torturing them, and bury their bodies in the crawlspace beneath his house. 4 of his victims, however, were found in the nearby Des Plaines River. Gacy confessed to throwing their bodies from a bridge after he ran out of space in his crawlspace. Each victim had a story, a life cut tragically short. There was John Butkovich, just 17 years old, who worked for Gacy's construction company, and Randall Reffett, a gifted artist who vanished after leaving work. Their stories, along with the stories of the other 31 victims, painted a horrifying picture of Gacy's brutality. The seemingly ordinary man was a monster who robbed the world of 33 innocent lives. Section 8. Death to Pogo. The end of a nightmare. On March 10, 1980, John Wayne Gacy was sentenced to death for his crimes. He spent 14 years on death row, during which he continued to maintain his innocence, claiming he was a victim of circumstance. He even painted pictures, often depicting clowns, which were sold to collectors of morbid memorabilia. On May 10, 1994, John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection at Stateville Correctional Center in Illinois. His last meal was a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, a dozen fried shrimp, French fries, a pound of strawberries, and a Diet Coke. His death brought little solace to the families of his victims. The pain of their loss would remain forever. But the world was a safer place without John Wayne Gacy in it. Section 9. The legacy of a monster, a stain on humanity. John Wayne Gacy's crimes left an indelible mark on American history. He became synonymous with evil, his name a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary individuals. His case exposed the vulnerabilities of young men, particularly runaways and those living on the fringes of society, who were often overlooked by law enforcement. Gacy's case also highlighted the importance of forensic science in solving crimes. His conviction was largely based on the physical evidence found at his home, including the bodies of his victims and the materials used to restrain and torture them. His case remains a chilling case study in criminal psychology, a stark reminder of the human capacity for evil. Section 10. Forever Haunted. The enduring shadow of John Wayne Gacy. Even in death, John Wayne Gacy continues to cast a long shadow. His case continues to fascinate and horrify, inspiring books, documentaries, and even fictionalized accounts. His house of horrors was demolished, but the memory of the atrocities committed there lingers. The families of his victims still grapple with their loss, their pain a constant reminder of his cruelty. John Wayne Gacy's legacy is a complicated one. He was a monster who committed unspeakable acts, but his case also forced society to confront uncomfortable truths about the vulnerability of young people, the importance of vigilance, and the monstrous potential that can lurk within seemingly ordinary individuals. His story is a stark reminder that evil can wear many faces, and it is a reminder that we must remain vigilant, always, against the darkness that lurks beneath the surface.